Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 676th episode of the GeekVerse podcast. I am the Mustang Trasdale. I'm joined by.
Bill Taylor Field.
You want that name? Really, after this
Yeah, it's,
movie?
it's not bad. It's not bad.
All right, we'll debate that after. We'll see how that goes. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we're here to talk about The Black Phone 2, Part 2, Chapter 2, just 2 tonight. But yeah, obviously we've been excited for this one for a while. I can't remember when we got that first trailer, but whenever it was, we were pretty hyped. You can go back. I did re-release in the feeds if you're wondering what our thoughts are on The Black Phone. Even though that was many moons ago, we did review it, me and Taylor, back in the day. So it is up there. So if you want to get a little preview there. And as always, this is going to be our non-spoilers portion. So we'll talk about our overall thoughts. So if you're on the fence, if you're going to see it later on, or maybe you're not seeing it at all, but you want to just know our thoughts, we'll give you, and maybe you'll change your mind. We're going to give you complete non-spoilers. And then after the first ad break, you'll go into spoiler territory. So you won't be safe after that. So if you hear anything after that, then that is on you. Head down to links for everything you need to know is down below. The audio feeds, the video feeds, most importantly, Extra Life, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but all the details about how to donate to the BC Children's Hospital. We're trying to raise some funds this year, so we'd appreciate that. And yeah, lots of stuff on the feed. We just finished Peacemaker, Gen V. Obviously, we got this. There'll be newscast. If you're listening to this live, 7:15 p.m., hopefully on time, 7:15 p.m. PST, October 17th, we're going to be doing our monthly in-person cast. Me, Taylor, and Kirkland going to be a newscast, a Bond fantasy draft as well, and then also it's going to be our last patio pod because it's getting a little cold, but we're going to bust out some jackets, going to bust out some fun warm stuff. You'll see when get the set, but the set has a fun Halloween vibe to it, so it should be a good time. But Taylor Field, The Black Phone, obviously it's been a minute because you said you haven't watched this from the theater, so you're going just kind of almost blindly. And so what did you think about
2022. That's how old this movie
Really?
was.
Okay. I thought it. Really? 2022, huh?
At least that's when I made the thumbnail. Black Phone. Yeah, 2022 06 23 at 10:22 p.m. is when I made the thumbnail.
Really? For some reason, I thought of this as like a pre-COVID movie. I don't know why, but I guess yeah, it would make sense. I guess we were online and people didn't join us. Yeah, so I guess so. It feels like it's been longer. It's okay, about just a little, yeah, because that was October, so about 3 years. Okay, so now 3 years later, we got the sequel. What do you think of this one?
uh, yeah, I was on the fence at the time that I heard about this, and I wasn't sure. Okay, what are they going to be doing here? How are they going to do a sequel? And this is before they were talking about all the I'll just say it's not a spoiler, the paranormal aspect.
Yeah.
I had no idea how they were going to be tackling this, and I thought maybe there's a discussion like, oh, it's just going to be a prequel or something like that. I thought, oh, well, that kind of sucks because you already know how it's going to end after watching the first one. So it kind of just kicking itself. But then the trailer comes out, you see that it's a paranormal aspect, and it's just the gloves are off. Now he's on a whole different level and a whole different playing field, and I think I really did enjoy this one more than the first. I would really recommend this. I I enjoyed it in the theater, and I think if you're it's Halloween's coming up soon. There's not a lot of horror movies in the theater right now. I mean, that have that spooky paranormal aspect to it. I mean, there's The Conjuring, sure, but I would
Shelby Oaks is out next
absolutely
week that you refuse
Shelby
to
Oaks.
see.
There's that too. Yeah, I would easily put this over The Conjuring. This one
Yeah.
didn't. This one didn't rely on jump scares. I mean, yes, it had. I'd say like there were two, maybe three, but
One
like
massive
one really,
one
really
that
good one. Oh yeah, I
almost
got my
put
wife.
Madison into early labor. I was worried we weren't going
Premature
to see the whole
birth,
movie.
yeah.
My God, And she was like a Scooby.
Oh.
Like the jump was huge. I haven't seen someone jump like that in a while. So
Yeah, it was a good jump. It was a good
mm.
jump, but I love that they got Ethan Hawke back as this character, as the grabber on a in a paranormal aspect. He's so good. He's really, really good. And yeah, there's just lots of stuff in here that I was enjoying, and I'm excited to kind of highlight those moments when we get into the spoilers. But yeah, I think everyone did a great job, and it really motivated me to want to go back and rewatch that first one because there are certain characters and they're saying certain things, and I'm glad that they didn't kind of give us at the beginning. This isn't a spoiler, like, oh, here's a quick rerun of what happened, Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning style, where you get like the past, like oh, this is what happened, in the last movie, in the last like 6 months, what went down. I'm glad they didn't do that. They just delivered a point A to point Z storyline here. And if you want to just kind of touch upon and familiarize yourself with this narrative and with these characters, just go back and watch the first one. It's as simple as that, which is what I'm going to do because I did enjoy that first one. So I recommend this. If you aren't able to get around to the theaters, absolutely just wait till it comes on streaming. But when it does come on streaming, I think definitely watch it. I think everyone should definitely give this a watch and watch that first one too, so you can really feel the weight of these characters and their decisions.
Hmm.
I will say, lastly, I like that while the story was focusing on Finn, it and again, I can't remember fully that first one, but his younger sister felt like the protagonist in this one, and I like that a little bit
In the
more.
first one, she has a big role, but he's definitely the main protagonist the whole way out. Where I feel
Mhm.
like this movie's definitely a
It's
50-50 this go
reversed.
around.
Oh, more
Yeah,
50
well,
50,
yeah,
yeah.
well, because I feel like there's some big spoilers, but like I feel like the first act's mostly. I think it's. I'll say mostly Finn, or it's Finn and his sister, right? And then I feel like second act it's kind of splitting, going her way, and then the third act I feel like it's like an ensemble sort of thing. So that's why I think you're probably right. If you were to classify someone as the main character, you could say her, but that's why I'd say it's probably more like a dual hander between the two of them because there's times where he is kind of the protagonist, right? And and we're not spoiling anything. The trailer's going to show some of that off that the sister has a bigger role, and if you saw the first movie, you'd kind of understand why that character would have a bigger role. Kind of makes sense, right? So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's it. That's it for non spoilers, though. You can take it away.
grab it over. Yeah, that's one thing I will employ people now, unless you for some reason really didn't like the first one, because I'll go back around to that. But what Taylor said that if you don't catch in theaters, catch on VOD, I would highly recommend. It is not Tron level as far as like every inch is popping off, but there's some great cinematography here, some really great shots. I will say from a Oh, sorry, the neck crack. I should have done it before.
Felt
I'll
that.
say from a directing and obviously cinematographer, which is probably a combo. I'd have to look at who shot this movie, but I'm going to give credit to Derrickson and his team overall. So cinematographer, everybody. There's some great looking stuff in here. There is some really mesmerizing shots, and some of them aren't even the creepy dream stuff. It's just like the location, and as you've seen this trailer, it's like a snowy cabin. They do a great job of making you feel the temperature, making you feel the atmosphere. There's just this one great shot where they're panning out as over the cabin, and it was a bunch of trees. It was all like the pine trees, and they had snow on them, and it was like the wind moving them. Maybe it's CGI or whatnot, but it didn't look like that, and everything looked really good and pristine here. So I would recommend if you like horror films and you're just kind of even a nut for visuals, if you like that medium or put that top tier as far as one of the reasons you see films, I definitely recommend it because I feel like this is one of the best looking horror movies we've got. I'll just say this decade. I'm not gonna say of all time because there's obviously many, right? But I'll say in the podcast era, it looks very good. So I don't know if the boys would see this one because I would honestly have it for multiple golden geeks. I'd have it for that. Another thing I highlight the score. I don't know who it is, but I'm guessing it's the director's son because they had the last name Derrickson, so I'm not sure if it's a son or someone related. But the score was really good. It kind of kept some of those creepy tones from the first one, but then it had some kind of Nightmare Elm Street synth going on there, and then it just had some wild sounds, like just like weird sounds that you don't kind of like the way Hannibal would be. Not it doesn't have the percussion like Hannibal, but Hannibal would just have sounds or instruments or noises where you're like, what made this noise? And that had that here too. So it's all the technical aspects really well made here. And I like I said, I might be able to say it's his best directed movie because my history with Scott Derrickson is I loved Sinister, right? I still I guess as a minus, but I probably would still put Sinister over this. And I will talk about I think the one con I have of this movie, but I need to probably watch it again. Where the first one I've only seen twice. I watched in the theaters. And then I watched it again a couple years ago, and I think I liked it a little bit more. I do want to watch it one more time, and I might wait to do like a double header back to back because I remember enjoying it, but I remember similar to this where we saw the trailers, and I was exactly like you, where it's okay, how are you gonna do this? How is this gonna work? This doesn't make much sense. And then obviously the trailer showed us, but then in this movie, complete window and a complete tunnel how you get there, and I do feel they explain a lot of what happened in the first movie, but I think to a point where if you hadn't seen the first movie, you're gonna missing some pieces, but you could still watch just kind of by itself. I feel and get the gist of it. I do think there's a little too much over explaining, and I'll get to that as like a con. But so for Derrickson, loved Sinister. And then I enjoyed Doctor Strange. Don't enjoy that as much of other people, but I enjoyed Doctor Strange. God, what did he do after? Oh, then he did Black Phone, which I liked, but I was underwhelmed by. Like I said, I want to give that another go. And then I liked the one he did this year on Apple. Oh, it's with Miles Teller and Anya Taylor-Joy, The
Oh, the
Gorge.
gorge.
Yeah, I like that. Up until the third act. The third act gets very sorry, bad video game CGI heavy, and it just takes me out of it. The more intrigues there, but this doesn't have that. Obviously, it's not the same CGI fest, but everything visually is good here. So I wasn't sure where I was going to be. This to me was like a big turning point. Okay, where am I on Derrickson? I used to be very excited for stuff where I'd kind of be a little limited. Now I'm back to I'm excited for whatever project he does next, whether it's a follow up to this or something else in horror, whatever it may be. I did really enjoy this movie a lot more than the first. Where the first, I think I liked it, and there's some aspects like Ethan Hawke, like that's like he's like a star like above, right? Like his performance, that's one where it's like, oh, that's a 0.5 or a star on a letterbox higher just because he's so good in it, right? And he's good here too. Him as the grabber, the certain lines, they write that character very well. There's a couple writing things where it just felt like they had nothing for him to say, and it's just like, oh, well, I guess we find out if you die, and that's it. Like it felt like he did this big pause and was just he just said like a just an easy remark. Like it just felt like there's some lines. It's funny with the grab. There's some lines that are like, oh man, this is top tier like Freddy Krueger stuff, and I'll highlight one in the spoilers that was like bone chilling. But then there was another one that was just like, oh, like all right, like there's a couple times where it's like no one could think of anything better for the grabber to say here. Just like I'm gonna hurt everyone you know, and it's just and that's it. And then he just goes off. So it's the way Ethan Hawke pronounces and stuff, but that's good. And they are all good in the first movie, but all the actors I'd say are even better. I'll have to pull them up because I haven't seen them in other stuff, but they're all good in other stuff. I feel it is a very obviously you have the same director and writer. This feels very very connected to the first one, and say like I said in the sense that you could probably still watch this alone, but it feels like these characters are evolving. Obviously, some time has passed 3 years, so they've aged up, but it feels like they've put them in a different place while still being the same character that transition from film one to film two, which sometimes can be lost, right? With a time jump, they just completely change a character up, and that's fine. You just have to explain that where this everything felt right. Most of the side characters I enjoyed. There's a couple comedic relief value characters, but I don't think they were over the top, which was good. It wasn't like a really like that guy that's gonna make dick jokes or fart jokes, which I appreciate. This is at times a very dour movie. That's something I like about it. We've talked about before. I'm a big fan of just movies where characters are depressed, and a lot of that happens here. So yeah, visuals are great, acting's great all around. I thought the story of how they do a sequel and how they tie it all together was very clever and well thought out. And they even do some big changes or some big revelations for the first movie, but because it's the same director and writer, it feels very natural. Because I don't know if they would have thought of this when they wrote Black Phone 1. Maybe they did, but even if they didn't, they found a way to weave it in. Where sometimes when we get these twists or reveals, we go, this doesn't make sense. And even then, they start to do that at the first or maybe the second act of this movie. And they start to reveal, oh, there's something that happened from the first movie that ties in here. And so I was like, oh no, we're gonna go down this revisionist history that kind of makes it cheesy and makes the world a bit smaller. But it works with what they've set up. So I think my only con I think I need to watch it again. I got to watch the first one. Like I said, I'll do a double header, but I just thought that the pacing was a little off. I felt, especially the first hour, it was, and here's one thing I will say: for if people don't want to see this, this is a movie that's extremely violent towards kids. It's like even more so than It to me. Or It, of course, is like killing off kids. We'll see with Pennywise. Also, we'll be reviewing Welcome to Derry in a couple weeks, but that has some quick, really bad stuff. There's some really bad stuff in here that I was surprised. Like obviously it's radar, but still there's times where it's like, man, they're getting away with some stuff right here. So it is, I'd say, not for the faint of heart. That way more. I feel like the first one had a lot of applied violence, or you would see uncomfortable situations where this is literally you're seeing kids getting minor spoilers hacked up, and it's not like a off to the side or shadow. It's literally very sinister like. So, and again, that stuff visually was really well done. The grain for the film, the dreams was well done. But yeah, for me it was the pacing where I felt like sometimes there's a lot of exposition dump, and I felt like they took a lot of time with unfortunately it's stuff that we already know, so you have to do that where you tell the characters, but I feel it's a situation where multiple characters learn the same thing over and over and over again, which is very tough because there's, I don't know, 6 to 7 characters here. So it would feel like it's starting to pick up and ramp up and then slow right down and pick up and ramp up. So I have to watch it again and feel how that goes on a second one. I think the finale really delivers and it builds to a big, you feel like, because to me, if this third act sucked, this would have really brought the movie down. But I feel like it's building towards it and it really delivers. So that's all good there. And I think it has lots of sentimental value in this movie. And it's very kind at the same time when it's very vicious. So yeah, I think that's the only thing. Is this some exposition I think you could have cut or tightened up, and just some pacing where I feel like you'd have a scare, but then it'd be a good 20. And I'm not saying that I need the scare, but it's just a lot of meandering around or learning stuff, which is still vital to the story, but there's some stuff that just kind of, we could have probably condensed this all together or done something. So yeah, that would be my thing. Just the pacing felt sometimes a little off at times. They didn't know which gear it wanted to get in. It kind of felt like it would ramp up to a really high point and then slow right down. So I don't know. I'll see how I feel later on at some point whenever we watch this. But anything else non spoilers, Taylor?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. But yeah, no, I highly recommend this. Even if you're like myself that thought the first one was okay, I think this one definitely evolves. And we talked about this in the trailers. If you're like me and you're a big Nightmare fan, if you're looking for something to fill that void and kind of work that, hey, we might not be getting a new Nightmare movie in quite a while, this is fantastic. I don't think they'd ever do it now because I feel like they just kind of did it here. But this is those nightmare sequences in this is the love and care I would like to have in an updated Freddy movie, which we didn't really get with that remake. So, yeah, that's all top notch, top tier. Really have no notes about that stuff. Like how the world worked, everything, the reasoning for it. So yeah, that if you're looking just purely for that, this fits as like a kind of Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street replacement for the time being. So, yeah, we both recommend it. So we're going to take our first ad break, and we'll be right back after this talking full spoilers. And we are back. So obviously, you could have skipped that ad break with Patreon because phase 2 and up, you get every episode ad free. You get every episode we've ever done. So obviously, Black Phone, I re-released it into the feeds this week, but you could have listened to that at any point, like all our entire backlog, which I have to love. We have, I don't know, I think thousands of episodes up there. So tons of stuff, exclusive episodes. Next week, there should be an After 9, hopefully. So you'll be able to, that's our call-in show where patrons can call in and we talk or watch a movie, etc. Yeah, producer tier where you can pick a movie for us to review, which we will be doing soon next week. Sam Green for bike riders. That'll be lots of fun. And then you get every other benefit. That tier, the producer tier, will be getting beefed up pretty soon. So look out for that because that's our highest tier. So we want to, support you guys for supporting us. So a big thank you to our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April Darkness, Jack Grant, Sam, Super Bad, Mike, God Loves Me 69, Jeremy Rennie, Charlie Randell, Cocktail Clay, John No H, and Sam Green. And then lastly, Extra Life is happening November 8th, 10 a.m. PST. That's our 24-hour BC Children's Hospital stream. We're trying to raise funds for BC Children's Hospital for caregiving, for surgeries, for medical treatment, everything, transportation, anything that's going to be happening for kids that are in need. We do that. If you look down below, well, we don't do that. We help the people support that, and that's why we do this charity. Obviously, you can click down the link below to donate. Every donation is tax deductible. It has the schedule down there. It has the stretch goals as far as if we hit 500,000, what we'll be doing. Some goals unlock on that day, some goals for content down the road. But it's going to be a very fun day. Come check it out. Please donate if you have anything to spare. Even a couple dollars completely helps. We don't have to hit the goal. Everything we raise goes towards BC Children's Hospital. So we'd very much appreciate that. And if not on the day, just come join the stream, like the video, share it, spread the word. And yeah, it's going to be, should be a very fun one. We got some fun stuff lined up. But Taylor, where do you want to start with the Black Phone 2?
Well, you mentioned some of the lines that he was saying that are kind of like Freddy Krueger-ish. I have there was one moment where I thought the same. I thought, okay, this definitely feels like just crazy. And I'm wondering if it's the same moment that you were thinking of.
What are you thinking of?
Well, you go first. I want to know if it is.
I think because now we're in full spoilers when they were on the ice, and I'm paraphrasing, but it's something about because the whole method is okay. They've set up that the way obviously the grabber grabbed Finney last movie. He got out. They found the remains. Da, 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 right? How he's kind of coming back is the grabber has not has, but he's killed these boys, and they're in the ice in this cabin. They're frozen down in barrels. So because they haven't been found, released, kind of have like a proper barrel, he can kind of use them as a conduit to get out and get at people, right? Which we can kind of talk about at the end. But there's a point in the third act where they're on the ice and they got to get these bodies because if they get the bodies out, they can overpower him and shut the grabber back down somewhere, right? When it's like the I can't remember the main camp counselor, like the guy who's been there the longest, but when he's pulling them out, and then yeah, I think it's actually second act where that's where I liked where she's having a dream and the grabber's literally breaking the ice behind him. So it's not like a Freddy Krueger thing. And that's what I think they were smart to do, where clearly you're going to get the Freddy comparisons, but this was different where, okay, when someone else was dreaming, which was the sister who is kind of, some sort of has like a shining aspect to her, that can fire up the grabber to do things to hurt other people on the outside and even them to hurt the grabber while he's not there. If you can just find him and hurt him, right? If you see like a shape, you can hurt him. Where obviously with Freddy, it's just, hey, Taylor falls asleep. Freddy can only go after Taylor and that's it, right? So I thought that was a good way to differentiate yourself where, oh, when she's asleep, he can kind of come alive. But it's when he's pulling up one of the bins and he's like, oh, say hello to the boys. I've missed them so much. And that's where I was like, oh, man, that's a creepy ass line. That was a good line. There was a couple really good lines, but that to me was the top tier one where it's like, oh, man, the grabber, you're a fucking creepy weirdo. But like I said, there's other couple of lines where I just thought it was just that could have used a little more buffing. But was that the line of MASH? Or was it something else?
No, it was something else. I'm trying to remember exactly where it was. I
Oh
think it was
no,
when she was in the
he's trying to buy
kitchen and the
time.
grabber was in the kitchen too, and starts like lifting her up, and he said something, and I wish I could remember it because it was a really freaky. Um, just the way
I
that he
can't
was
help you.
talking, and again too, just the transition between that scene where he's talking to Finney on the phone, and then he just like walks out of the shadow, and that was a trailer scene, but very different context when you see it set up here when Finn can't see the grabber, Finn can't see
Mhm.
the ghosts, but the ghosts are all present around him. And so when he can't see the grabber, but the grabber's walking around the phone booth listening and like talking to him, which is freaky. And that's in the real world, obviously. And then you get the dream sequence or the dreams world, which has that just sort of VHS kind of filter, which I thought was fucking fantastic. So just with that transition, and then he just talks to Gwen. Gwen was her name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he talks to Gwen, gives her the rundown on things, and is just like toying with her, and then yeah, just that whole scene of him just picking her up, and I was trying to see that okay, like this is probably the most like supernatural he gets, where he's got like Jedi powers because the way she's moving, he's obviously using two hands to spin her around, and then you see like him holding her, trying to throw her into the fire. But then you see, okay, when everyone runs in, everything on the shelf away from where the girl's being held flies at
Yeah,
them
because
and
I don't think
hits
he's over
them.
there like like he's not throwing all the kitchen knives at him, so he
No,
must
no,
have some
no.
sort of powers, right? So,
Yeah, but I
and
thought that was great.
and that's the thing though with him. Like I would think no, because if they do a Black Phone 3 or just other stuff, but to me the way they set up with this movie is almost that she like he all like because I was saying why wouldn't he kill her? But it's almost like he can't kill her because I think is she kind of also part of the conduit to get out too, or do you think like he could get again? We could get a sequel. They explain that, but do you think if he were to kill her, could he still be doing this stuff? And if that's the case, why wouldn't you kill her right away? Right? It's not like the Freddy thing where okay, main character's Nancy, he's killing off her friends to eventually Nancy's so frightened the idea is to get her right, but she's the strongest one. So in this sense, why wouldn't he kill her off right away? Because when he did spin her in the phone booth and all that blood was coming out, I was like, how is she not dead? I had seen that in the trailer. I was hoping that wasn't the case. When I saw it in the trailers, it's in the second one. I was like, God damn, did they just show this character getting killed? And she didn't get killed. But then at the time, I was like, how did she not get killed? Because it looked like he was like
That was a
almost
lot of
slitting her
blood.
throat. That was a lot of blood. So, but yeah, how did you take from why he maybe couldn't kill her off?
Oh, I think it just comes down to her being able to well, she wasn't in control of her dream yet at that point, so she was
No, not
definitely just
until
being
later on. Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I think I don't have an answer. I mean, I feel like he just was being lazy and he should have done it quicker. Like, I liked when everyone came into the room in the kitchen and he didn't kill her in time, and so he just like slowly glides back into the dark, and then like the next day starts. That was fucking freaky because you know he's just a consistent thing and he's gonna be there and he's gonna come back. And so when we get to his next attempt, uh, yeah, I don't
Because,
know.
like we
There,
said, every time they attempt, it's like he talks to Vinny via the phone, but it's never like Vinny goes to sleep and then that's when the grabber does his stuff, right? It seems like only when she's asleep. So that's why I'm wondering, because it's kind of like what we, check out on Patreon, and we'll be coming to the main feeds when we talk about the Shining movie, how Jack and Dick and Danny, they kind of get like a light bulb. It's kind of like a tongue. It's like a battery being put on a tongue. That's what happens when you go on The Shining, right? Like it just like amplifies your shining ability. So that's why I'm
Mhm.
wondering if like if she doesn't exist with this sort of power, if he can even get out, right? Because all like she was just having dreams and visions about this. It's not like he was back in the community
But it's
grabbing other
not based.
kids.
It's not because
Right, he didn't do like
uh
technically he didn't do anything. Like they went there because she's having visions and they want to investigate, right? But it's not like his MO's back and he's been grabbing kids or kids are going missing. Like that's at the end of the movie. And
but
she's
he
like, I
still
saved nobody.
exists. I think this is just the movie, and this is up to interpretation. The movie features him targeting them because I mean that's where he's directing all his energy. But I think if they weren't present and they weren't a part of the story, he would and he still died in the previous movie. I think he would still exist
But we don't know
in
that
this
though.
world.
That's the
I think he
thing.
would because and I do think we know that because the kids were not put to bed, right? They weren't put to rest, so he still exists based on those three kids' bodies not being laid to rest.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just wondering if because she's has some sort of I don't know what it I can't even remember what the
We
actual
call it
term is,
shining.
but yeah, when she has some sort of shining, like that's why I'd have to see if we get a third one if he can ever do that without her because you're right, that is the kids are around and that keeps him going, but every time he gets out, it's still via her dreaming, right? So he's sitting. It's almost the same way as Freddy, where that's a different thing, right? Where if anybody dreams, Freddy does something. But the whole thing with Freddy is okay. If people aren't afraid of him, he's like powerless, right? He can't get in your dreams that way. Where this is not, everyone has to be afraid of him. He can just attack anybody. Like those two random campers, the one that were really Christian, they had no experience with the grabber, right? Like other than maybe they might have saw some pictures of him, but they didn't have to be fearing of him. But every time he did attack, it's when she was asleep. So that's the thing. It never happened when she was awake. So I don't know what would happen down the
Um,
line.
did it not happen with Finn at all?
They talked to the phone, but I don't know if he did anything because lots of those scenes I felt like while he was on the phone, she was also sleepwalking too, right? So that's where it kind of doubles. But he
Hmm.
never brought him in because obviously Vinny never had any like that. Like he talked on the phone, don't get me wrong, but he didn't have any of those experiences where he was actively having the visions and stuff, right? And again, we don't know what's happening, and that's where it's much like Freddy. It's like, okay, clearly there was some ghosts and stuff tied with the grabber in the first movie, but we don't know if he's into voodoo or what the deal is, right? It's just that they were tied to that house, and now they're tied to, I guess these three barrels. So I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but I also don't mind if they don't explain that. I did like that he kind of gave like some lore of some like that he's like spoken with the devil. I don't think he even said the D word. I think he just said him. Like he applied it, and I like that he's talking about death, and he's like, oh, after death, like what happens, like you just become a shell of your sins, and it's almost like if
I've got
which
a big hole of sins or whatever he says.
yeah, I got a bunch. Yeah, so I did like that aspect where that who knows, whatever you believe in, but if there is like a heaven and hell, I do could because that's the thing, right? When we talk about these concepts of what could be up there, what could be down there, I think I do like this that they propose of okay, if he dies and he goes to hell, just like because this grabber is like I think even worse than the first grabber, right? Like the first
Oh
grabber,
yeah.
you kind of be outsmarted with, or maybe even get to some of his emotions. But with this one, he's just fully angry, and that's why it kind of feels like okay, it is a shell of the grabber. Like it's still the grabber, but it's him at his worst because he is just all the sins and all the bad stuff. So I did it like that they insinuated that he kind of had some interactions with a devil or a greatest because he even said like, oh, I it took me a long time to remember, and he finally finally gave me back some of my memories and stuff. So it's like, who's he? Who's that? And again, I don't think you should ever explain that stuff because it's the same thing as Freddy. It's like, okay, I get the point of the story, right? Is okay, he goes to trial, that goes wrong, and the parents take it upon themselves, like, fuck this guy, we're gonna burn him, right? But at that point, why should he come back to punish these parents? I get the idea, right? You did like a bad deed, but it's still like they're still punishing an actually guilty pedophile. You know, it's not like they screwed up and he's an innocent guy. So I get why it's punished for your sins, but really, that he deserved what he got. So, but in Freddy, they never explain like he's into dark magic, this and that. It's just like he got spat back up and he's like a product of hell. And I kind of like that here, where I don't need to know, oh, there's a book or this and that. Like, just keep it ambiguous. So
That's the line actually jogged my memory of what he said when he was talking, and I think he's talking to Finn, and he's like, "Hey, you made me kill my brother. What you did to me, I love my brother," and he's just fucking screaming at him. I thought, "Holy fuck, this is brutal."
yeah, which if I recall, I don't think I'd have to rewatch it. I don't think he loved his brother that much.
No, he just his brother pissed him off. For
Yeah, he was
sure.
just like his tenant to like keep him hiding and stuff like that. But yeah, we got a cameo from his brother, which that didn't really scare me. They telegraphed that too much. It almost felt like they moved the camera before like the loud jump scare. But yeah, people are wondering the one that got masked, and it is in the trailers, but it's not as loud. It is the first time you see one of the kids appear out of the under the bed, but they set up where she's dreaming. She kind of hears something going on. So the first shot is from under her bed, which is always scary. She looks, nothing there. She gets back up, seems like it's okay, but then she hears something else. Bed beside her, because it's like a cabin that has like a bunch of bunk beds, and that kid is in there. She doesn't know, she looks, and then boom, jumps out. So good jump scare. And really, that was pretty much it. Like I said, they tried with the brother, but that didn't really work at all. There's a couple other times, but I appreciated that they. What I enjoyed was, and they did this in the first, but I feel like they did better versions here. There's two I really liked where when Finney was talking on the phone at one point to the grabber, and they're doing a circle around him. So they came on the phone, and that starts they talk. And when they do the circle, when they come back to him, the ghosts of the three kids are there in the background, like way far, and they're not doing anything scary. It's not like a big loud jump effect. They're just there. And then when they do another circle, and it's so funny though, because you can see, because I just feel like we've been here before. When they did the third circle, the second circle, the camera like moved in because it was like the phone booth corner, and then to the left there was like you could see the snow. But when they did the second circle, the camera like zoomed into the phone booth corner. So I imagine what happened was like those kids like ran off to the side of the screen, because I feel like I could just see, okay, if they like change shot. But I like that because then the next time the kid's standing right there close to the phone booth, right? And the other one I like too is at the beginning of the movie when when we see the grabber just hanging out in his yard, no jump scare, no chasing. He's literally suffering from PTSD, and he's reliving conversations and stuff that he had with the grabber, and he's just having them with a version of him in the yard. Then the sister kind of comes like snaps out of it. But I like that it was that where it's just not all PTSD is going to be these ghosts just like barking at you, running you. It's just kind of going to be this mental image of you can't really escape. And that's one thing too. That guy, I'll pull up his name, but I thought that speech was really good, because some actors that could have been cheesy, but when he just breaks down, because they make this character very angry, but it seems like it doesn't seem like he's okay, but it just seems like he's putting on a front like like he doesn't seem. I think they did a very good layered job, because he seems damaged, but also not like a loose cannon. But when he breaks
Yeah.
down, you can see, man, this guy's still, and that's what I liked about that scene of the grabber just in his yard. He's still almost like mentally stuck where he was before, but it also wasn't this character who was just like blubbering and just super emotional the whole time. Like, it felt like a good balance of someone that's trying to push forward and trying to get through it, but is still really fucked up. And I think his scene when he broke down was really good. So I like those. We had a couple jump scares, but I like those scares too, where it was just the thing appears and it's just scary because it's there, you know? So I really
Mm-hmm.
appreciated those. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Let's see here. So we talked about that. So, guys, I'm trying to think what the first setup was. I guess she just has her dreams and everything, but
She sleepwalks and wanders into his old basement, which was just fucking crazy. Luckily, your brother is always there and on the case. Just
I did
he
like though that
knows.
he's like, "Oh, you were sleepwalking and I just followed you." It's like, "Followed you? Like, wake her
Would you
up."
stop me?
Yeah, wake her up. And that's one thing I will say before I forget to get to the kids, because yeah, and I guess we go there where she's having these visions of of the cabin, the camp, whatever. And then they find out that the mom went there at some point because they did something in the beginning of the movie where a girl's on a pay phone, of course, and she's talking to someone on the other end, and we don't hear it. It's a girl that's in 1957. Later on, they do dovetail that and bookend it where they do this cool scene where it is the daughter that was actually talking with her mom at the beginning, and then at the end too, they share a scene which that was really good too, where the phone rings and you think, okay, could it be the grabber setting up a third one? I actually thought it was just gonna be the kids thanking her for letting them out, but no, it was her mom saying, "Oh, it's really nice here." Obviously, that I don't know how that works in this world. It felt like this type of stuff was tied to almost like Satanism and that type of stuff. So I didn't know how the mom was maybe sound like calling from heaven. Didn't know how that really worked there, but I liked the sentiment behind the scene, and that's where to me like the last scene in this movie, and it's like, oh, tell your brother I said this and give him a hug. Get to that like last scene in this movie is very emotional, and I love that it was not like a grabber coming out of scare, setting up a sequel, which we'll talk about. There's some wiggle room there. I think they gave themselves, but I really liked everything they did with the mom, and that's where I also throw to you. They also revealed that was a big jump, a big change. Again, it's their character, so they did that, and I think it still works for me here. But in the first movie, they kind of set up because she has the same episodes like Gwen, where she has like the mental vision stuff that she killed herself because she couldn't take it. They reveal that because the grabber was around doing this stuff, it reminded her of her time at the cabin when these three kids went missing, and she started to put together the grabber. Again, don't know how he figured that out. If it's he just figured that out, or if he also has some sort of shining like abilities in a sense, right? Too, because they didn't fully dive into how he figured out the mom knew, but that's what they retroactively did. Then
Well, she drove into his driveway with the headlights on full, so I mean, it doesn't take much, right?
yeah, I guess. I guess he could have recognized her, but I just wonder like why he just jumped to just like kidnapping her right away, right? But like I guess I can buy that because the grabber's just probably a paranoid guy. But yeah, they revealed that the grabber killed the mom, and it was not the mom committing suicide. And I thought that scene was that might be my favorite sequence when Gwen gets in the dream and she's watching the mom get grabbed, and then when you're in the truck, it's the old grabber like from like I don't know like the let's just say 1980s. He's driving the car, and then the mom's in the back seat. Where then our current day like demon grabber's there with Gwen, and when they open the door and it shows and just a horrified look on Gwen, and then it's just like the grabber just sitting there. He's all rotten and stuff. Like, oh, I just wanted to give you the benefit and show you what
Yeah, do
happened.
this
Like,
nice thing.
yeah, like that to me was probably my favorite scene because it was just so fucked up. It was like you're making this person relive something that they didn't know, and even though it's a revelation of your mom didn't take their own life, it's still like worse in a sense too because you're having to see what actually happened there and the dad. So yeah, what do you think about all the stuff from the mom and the daughter talking multiple times to the reveal of the grabber? Because that's where I was worried when they're like, oh, he knew that mom knew. I was like, oh no, I don't know. Like, because sometimes when movies do that and they go back to the original, they change some stuff, it doesn't work. But yeah, how did you feel about a lot of the usage of the mom here?
Um, I like it, and again, I think it helps prop up the daughter a bit more by establishing, okay, like these kids have this ability because of the mom. The mom is kind of what started it, and so when you get into the storyline here that the mom is having dreams of a kid being kidnapped and goes to the grabber's house, knows who the kid is, and then the grabber just pops out of his van, abducts her, and whatnot. I liked all that, I really did, and I liked the concept too, where it was all just a lie. The grabber secretly, well, not secretly, murdered, but and then secretly hung her in the
Which
garage.
that's one thing where I think the retrospective like I don't believe he would have went through all that trouble. Maybe like what, like because like what, like if she just if he just cut her throat and threw her somewhere, I don't think they would have been like, oh, this is connected to the grabber who's stealing kids, right? Like,
Well, you never know.
yeah, I guess you never know. I just thought I was looking for maybe more of a reason there because even then, why you not just kill her and put her where all the other bodies are buried, right? Like if you're
Yeah.
just like hiding it and stuff. But it was fine. That's where I think that they didn't think of this in the first movie. I could be wrong. I feel like this is like they were looking at the script like, oh, we could change this, But it's fine. They made it work. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, and same thing too, like with the grabber when he takes his kid, not realize that all that's her daughter. Like once he sees the news and everything, right? Like I feel like you'd kind of get or her son, sorry. So there's a little bit of a coincidence there. And that's one
Yeah.
thing. Again, it's a my biggest complaint are the pacing and some of the exposition. Those are the things that actually affect the store. This doesn't affect it really at all. But when they talk about these kids, right, these three kids that go missing, and again, this was chilling. This was the dreams were kind of felt like they were in the same universe. The flashbacks to how the kids died, that was pretty. That was literally just them doing Sinister again. Like it felt like that, where obviously it's the film grain, but it's like from it looks like it's from the perspective of a camera. In the third one, they do eventually like back out, and you see like the grabber. He has his shirt off and stuff. He's again all fucking gross and whatnot. Why does he have his shirt off and it's ice cold? Because he's a fucking pervert. But like that's where the first two, it's all looks like it's from the grabber's perspective. It just felt like Bagul was back and he was,
Mm.
doing that stuff. So I liked all that. But yeah, you're seeing these kids, you're seeing their legs get chopped off, you're seeing axes to the stomachs
They're
and blood.
getting
You see this
burned on fire.
burn. You see this kid head get split in two. It was some. I was kind of surprised. Like I don't know if that would get you to turn an X rating, but I was surprised that it could still be a rated R with this stuff going on. But as we said, the plot is okay. We don't know the full thing, right? We don't know if he can do this alone, if he needs this with the girl, but at least one of the aspects is the reason he can get out in this area is because of these three boys and they haven't been, found. I kind of laughed when, so what these kids they went missing in 1957 and then the place got shut down in 58. And they go to, I got to find the guy's name, the main counselor there. Cause if people are listening to this that didn't watch this, there's like a Christian married couple. There's Mustang who's kind of, which I appreciate. They didn't really go into like him or Finney and her having like a romantic relationship. Just felt like it was kind of like flirty and whatnot, which worked for me, right? They're like young kids and that's cool, all good. Um, and then they have, let me find the counselor's name here. Um, Mando. So of course, it's fucking Mando. They have him. They tell a story about, and again, because something I appreciate too. When the first dream went down with the grabber, they found there was random strangers that just saw her getting tossed around the room. So I was happy we didn't have to have 15, 20 minutes to be like, you're crazy, it's not real. Again, I think you could have still cut down some other stuff, but when they talk about this, they talk about the kids, and he tells the whole story like, oh, they went missing, and there's three kids. He first look, he goes on ice and shines like a light. There's Mick, there's Bix, or there's Ben. I was like, what? like, like I think it'd be different if one kid went missing because you would just think that they could be anywhere, right? A bear, this and that. But when three kids, if you're thinking, I know it's in the 57, so maybe they didn't think that way. But like when three kids go missing, you're gonna think, hey, something's up here. The fact that like they were just in the ice, they're 10 feet away, just there, and the other two kids, I was fine with because they were in barrels and they were deep down. But when he found that first kid by just like shining a flashlight and just found like a frozen skeleton, it's like, did no one think to look out here? Like this has been open for another 30 years and no one went on the ice and was like, "Oh, look, there's a dead body frozen here." So I felt that was a little easy. But yeah, what do you think about some of the stuff with the kids? And we did get the origin, which I like. It's kind of again a combo of Freddy and Jason where they did reveal that he was the grabber was when he was like 18 or whatever, was a counselor there. So that's how he was probably taking some of his first victims, was being a trusting adult that was looking after these people and obviously not doing great things.
Yeah, no, I liked that, and I thought as soon as they grabbed the photo, the picture frame off the wall, I thought, oh, absolutely, they're gonna spot him in there, and everything kind of came full circle when it's like, oh, this guy used to run into camp and then bought the property, and then you got, oh, their mom's in the photo, and then sure as shit, there's the grabber in there too.
Long hair
First
still.
kill, long hair still, yeah. So yeah, no, I think everything with the kids, it worked out. It parallels with that first movie, right? When the first movie it was about the kids saving him, but also, if he gets out, then he frees their spirits, and so that's kind of a theme that has been sticking, and
Yeah,
they've been running with
yeah,
it.
something like that.
Um, the idea though that Gwen is kind of like this conduit, it just reminds me of or is the chick who had the psychic powers, and I think it was with
Stranger
Tommy was
Things.
in this one. No, it was Friday the 13th, and I think she
Yeah, I
has
think
the
it's Friday the
psychic
13th
powers.
part 6.
She
Uh,
wakes Jason up with her psychic abilities. Remember that?
well, no, that's not one with Tommy. I think that's the one
That's the
after
one after,
Tommy.
right? Because he
I
locks him
think
up
it's
in the
7.
lake, and
Yeah.
she breaks him free.
And he might be the goes to New York one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. There you go.
There you go. All right, we'll take our probably last ad break here, and then we'll be right back. Okay, and then yeah, and the dad was back. I'm a big sucker for Jeremy Davies. I've always liked him since Justified. I know he's done other stuff, but I really liked him in that. But yeah, I really liked him as a dad. I liked that they kind of showed that okay, he's stopped the drinking. He's trying to be a better person. Obviously, last movie he had abused these kids. He doesn't do that anymore. So luckily, and they're good scene. He shows up. It's it's snowed in. He's like, well, I'm just gonna get a tractor and go find my kids because they're probably screwed. They're screwed. And he shows up there. He's like, oh, I like they just showed up happy. Like, we're good to go. Let's get out of here. And obviously a bunch of stuff is going on. And same thing. Because the first movie he was a doubter of his daughter having these visions, just thought she was probably schizophrenic like her mom. But then in this one, there's that big speech in the snow. Again, I like that they just kind of accepted to move on. Some people that might be a con, but I don't need another 10 minutes of the dad being like, I don't think this is real. Like at the end, he's with everybody. She gives him a few details of the night she would know, and then he's with everybody. Very bold to like I guess adrenaline's kicking in, but at one point they have these wires that are pulling the barrels up, and the grabber, of course, kicks one down. Jeremy Davis, the dad, just jumps fully into the ice water to get
Yeah.
the barrel. He's dead. He's dead. This is the 80s. He's down there for how long? Like he's a dead man. But yeah, that third act was really good. Obviously, there's tons of scares throughout and good moments and good set pieces, but this moment of all the characters on the ice, the grabber, which I love. They just show his feet. His feet are just like he has like ice skates on his feet. So again, has that Freddy Kruegerism where he almost has superpowers, but it never got like over the top. But yeah, he's just skating around, fucking people up, trying to cut them, choke them, everything. And then that's when she realized she has some powers. Then once they got all of them out, the boys were starting to grab him and turned around, and then hit him with the axe to the head. They ripped off his mask, and he was like a very like his face was kind of almost what you'd look at like if you were to see a body like it was semi decomposed. It looked like it was in the
Yeah.
ground, and they're messing him up, and they get to a good point where she's kind of holding them back with her powers. But as we said, because of this dream state world, it's still brought in the real world. So Finney can see at one point. Kind of his outline, like he's holding on to something and it's moving, so he can see he's there. He grabs him by the head, just destroys, puts his face into the ice a bunch of times, repeats that, hell's fill of ice or whatnot. And like I said, I don't know if they're gonna do more, but to me, what they do is the boys are out. There's a big ice hole. They throw him in the ice hole, but as he's like like sliding across the ice, he makes a point because when they take off his mask, he's like almost afraid that it's off, right? And when he's going in the ice, he like makes sure he gets it and gets his mask and puts it back on. And then again, talk about shots. There's this great shot of he's in the ice and all three the ghost boys are like bringing him down and they're in the water. Like very cool shot. So to me, and then what happens is they zoom in on the ice, and then he's just kind of frozen there, so he doesn't like explode or disappear or go away. It's like, to me, I said to you in the car, where it's like I could literally see a teaser or a third movie opening up where it's him in the ice and the ice starts to crack. But yeah, what did you think about the finale of this movie?
I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think with everything picking up and him skating around, that was really cool. How the ice was just kind of like fused to his bony, frozen, bloody feet. And he's got a pair of skates. I thought that was sweet. But yeah, he's just skating around, just decimating. And yeah, when he does that like belt loop around Finn and does that like a jump over and like pulls him back on his back and is choking him. Like, fuck, that was a really cool scene. That was crazy. But all in all, no, I think it was pretty good. I'm pretty content with how things kind of wrapped up in this whole final battle. I liked how you get this crazy freaky moment where Finn just is like sees like this leg of a skeleton struggling, and then just goes over and you see visibly puts his hands on his leg, and then just
Mm-hmm.
starts like smashing his head in. No, I liked the whole kind of setup here and the whole fallout on the water. The one thing I can't remember his name, but like the camp owner, just still blows my mind that they saved him. I thought for sure one of these camp people would get killed just to kind of increase the stakes, but
Yeah,
no,
we never really
he
lost
survives.
anybody. Like we didn't. We didn't lose the very Christian couple, which again, I liked that humor of a couple like Bible thumping jokes. I liked the new boyfriend of Gwen, like he was in there a good amount. He believed her. They've had a fun back and forth. Like that was a scene that like see that like I like the scene, but that scene where she had the first dream and they were laying in bed, that was when we're like, okay, this is going on too long. Like I didn't
Hmm.
feel the chemistry there. I was like, oh, this scene is magnetic. Like keep going. That's one where it was like it had a fun payoff of him being, Finn being like, oh, am I pretty too? And like you've been listening the whole time. That was good, but like that scene was a solid 5 minutes. And usually I like that stuff. I guess it was just that it was the pacing or I just wasn't buying the chemistry there. But that character by itself was not annoying, and I was worried he was just going to be the big time comedic relief. Where he had some comedic relief, but he was not like I said some just joke machine or anything. It felt like it was as you would say innocent humor for the most part. And but yeah, Grabber really didn't take any new victims here. I guess it probably makes
No.
it for our characters and easy in the real world with the police, right? Because if anyone died, they're gonna be like, okay, well, what happened here, right? The
Yeah.
the grabber, he's been dead and stuff. So, but yeah, the way he froze, way got taken away. Do you think you could? Do you think he could come back? And would you want a third one?
I think he absolutely could come back. And yes, I do want a third one. I like how these stories are going here with our main characters, although I feel like our main characters their narrative kind of wrapped up in this movie, so you could give us something that's along the lines of an anthology or something like that. I think at this
Yeah.
point I would be okay with like a prequel.
Mm.
Um
But the
but
thing is, if you do a prequel, then you probably lose the elements of the grabber is like a Freddy Krueger like, right? Because he doesn't have that power.
yeah, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, so that's like you could do a prequel. You definitely could talk about the past. So, yeah, I'm not sure what they do here.
I do think there is a way to awaken him up from his nightmares
Yes,
because it was so quick and just so passive. I thought to myself, oh, well, they can absolutely bring him back, and that's where I got the idea, like, oh, a Friday the 13th, where you get another person with a shining, walks into camp and then does something, and then he just wakes up.
yeah. No, you could easily do that where there's three routes you can go. You can just go a third one with everyone back, right? As far as just okay, they find a new story for this family because they've I think that's one thing that they've made it reminds me similar to it or even Stranger Things. Also, that's 5 seasons, but it's like you now have a core group of characters: the brother, the sister, the dad, and even some of these side characters where you could see them come back and you would enjoy these characters, right? So you just make a third one. That's
Yeah,
it. You could do the classic, which I wouldn't want, and I don't think they would do. And I think because people are, and like I said, I think that's a strength of this movie, that conversation between the dad and the daughter and Finney, like in the snow about not going back and everything. I thought it was really well done, really good in lots of horror movies. That doesn't happen or it feels kind of hollow, but you could go the route. That's why I would always worry if it's not the original writers, where they just quickly kill off the old leads and then you go to the new ones, which horror movies used to do all the time, right? Where it'd be, oh, you pick up with the new one and then, oh, let's get the new blood. I would like it where, yeah, maybe those characters are away, or maybe those are the characters you have to go find to bring them back to help you. But if it was somebody else with this type of power, something that kind of, yeah, accidentally did woke them up. Because, like we were talking about the car, where, okay, if this is 1957, and I think they said it was 1980 when this all went down, almost 30 years, to me, he has lots of victims. I feel like there would be other places where bodies and remains are not uncovered, right? So I feel like that could be a conduit as well too. It's like, hey, maybe he can't haunt you at the cabin or this location, but somewhere else, right? So
yeah.
also we have to see success wise. But yeah, I would actually be completely down with new characters, the way Freddy would eventually, where they kind of cycle through a new cast each time, and I'd be down for that. I'd be down for more dreams and more sequences, but at the same point, which is a good thing. I don't think they're just gonna make a sequel for the sake of making a sequel. Blumhouse might say, hey, even if you guys don't want to do this, we're making it. But I feel like the writers care and have put some effort into these characters, not just a cash in, right? So
Yeah.
I guess we'll see. But yeah, because I was just looking, so I didn't know in the Black Phone spawned a in canon short film Dreamkill, also directed by Derrickson, written by Cargill, released in the 2023 VHS 85. I did not know that. So there's like a short film out there, which I want to watch all the VHSs, so I'll have to check that out. But Taylor, final thoughts and a rating, unless there's anything else we didn't talk about.
Can't think of anything else. But yeah, final thoughts. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was really entertaining, and of course, yes, like you highlighted, there are some moments where things do slow down a little bit. But for me, it wasn't a real big takeaway, and I can get on board with how everyone rallies together at this, little Bible camp, and what you think is just going to be these three friends on this adventure trying to deal with Hawk's character and the grabber and all that kind of stuff, and then it just turns into like you have this whole little community just working together to deal with this threat. So I really, really like that. I thought that was good, and I liked how everything kind of comes full circle for the guy who bought the place and is running the
Hmm.
place. And as much as I thought, we need some more deaths, it is nice that he survived. But yeah, all in all, I think this is one that I'm absolutely going to rewatch again because I feel like there's a lot of things that you can definitely miss on the first viewing with this. So yeah, what to give it though?
That's the question.
I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go a 9 out of 10. I'm gonna be generous. I had a really,
Ooh,
really good time with this.
generous.
Again, the only thing I'm gonna dock is just some of those slower parts where it just didn't really feel necessary. I guess. And by the time you get to them finding the first kid, it feels like you're an hour 45 into the movie. Like it feels like it's a
It,
very long ways. And
I know it was an hour for it, but it was about an hour because I looked at my phone because I was curious. As okay, I think it was like the first time the grabber like even like appears at all, like because you kind of like I mean appears as far as like the new demonic grabber, right? That's after like because
yeah,
obviously he appears first 10 minutes when Phoenix sees in the yard, but it's just like a flashback in a sense, right? Obviously it's a new scene film, but it's like a flashback. But yeah, it's like almost a like probably more like 50 minutes because we had the trailers. But I checked because our movie started at 7:10 and it was 8:10, and it's like, oh, finally he's here. And again, I'm not saying that was what needed. It's just that they were kind of, I feel like, kept cock teasing you with a lot of scares and whatnot. But that now that I know that, like I said, I want to hear it. It's almost like what we'll talk about on the news tomorrow. But like, there's the people that are doing the It series. They're like, oh, like Pennywise won't be in it till the back half. So it's like, okay, I'm kind of happy I know that because I kind of prepped myself, right? It's the same thing with this. I
yeah.
didn't know what to do and certain trailer stuff. So yeah, I'll go a point just below you for now as an 8, but I could see myself get up to a 9. I think 9 would be the stopping point, but I am gonna rewatch just when this happens. Whenever I can see it, and like I said, I'll probably try and do Del Feature. But all things I listed, filmmaking wise, score, some great cinematography, some great shots. Very much, we talk about this all the time. Applaud it big time for all the nighttime scenes. I can see everything going on. It's not squinting. They got lit up nice, which is great because yeah, it's like lights, candles, flares, whatever. Light it up because I actually want to see these actors. So that was a good thing. Yeah, good vibes, and like a good. I don't think we talk about this enough. Very well done as far as using that environment and setting it. Feels cold. There's storms all the time. It's snowing. You feel like it. You never feel like it's just there's a bunch of stuff and then you move on. It feels like you are stuck in this location and it's kind of like a character within itself. So yeah, I'm gonna go an 8 for now, but I'll put an asterisk that it could be higher. I need to kind of give it a rewatch and see how I feel. But yeah, that's my thoughts on there. So yeah, definitely liked it more than the first one, and yeah, I would happily take a third one and get some more adventures with the grabber and some nightmare stuff. But again, I think I specifically want the nightmare stuff. I don't know if the prequel could excite me because that wouldn't be in there. But yeah, let us know in the Discord, Twitter, Patreon, Facebook, wherever the YouTube you listen to, what you thought of the Black Phone 2 and anything we missed or anything you want to talk to us about with our review. And I promise when you hear from us next,